Hi, welcome along to Stampy's Random Reviews and Tutorials. In this video I'm going to show you how to clean and service a Dyson V6 vacuum cleaner. I'm going to start with all the basic things such as cleaning the filters, and I'm also going to show you a killer tip that will resolve 90% of issues with this type of vacuum cleaner. So stay tuned, let's get started right now. So as I said, you may have seen some of these videos on YouTube before that just show you how to clean the filter. If you're not sure where the filter is, it's just in this part of this vacuum cleaner, and what you're supposed to do with this is just wash it out. So I'm going to go through this step by step very slowly so you can follow this and avoid making any mistakes that you might have seen on other videos as well. The first thing we need to do is just empty this bin. You can see inside there, there's actually a lot of rubbish in there. And all we need to do to empty the bin, as I'm sure you'll know, we just push down on this catch and we can empty that out. So if you've got problems with this switching on and then sort of stop it on its own, when it shouldn't do, I won't go on to max power, like that. Stick around, this video is going to show you how to resolve all those problems. So we'll just start by emptying this bin here. Press this catch here, you can see all this drops off. I'm actually going to take this whole bin off here by pressing down the latches from the front. I'll take that off there. Just tip as much as we can of the bin. So the next thing you're going to want to do is clean out this bin. Now I've seen a lot of advice, people say just clean this out in the sink. Please don't do that. If you look inside here, you can actually see there's actually metal inside here that's encased in the plastic, and it goes to the hinge at the front where it's front hinged. And also, if you look in this part here, there's a couple of electrical contacts you can see in there, and they actually connect to the wand and make the motorised head work. They actually move about a little bit. There's a little bit of play in them when you're actually doing the vacuuming. So I would just suggest that you get a cloth and blow this out as good as you can. Now I have an air compressor which helps. If you don't have an air compressor, you can just use an old brush, a stiff brush, and clean it out, or some cloth. Doesn't need to get wet. You don't need to get any part of this actual bin wet. What I like to do with this is I just take a little bit of WD-40 and spray it around, and I'll just get some cloth. I'll just simply clean this out. You don't want anything in here wet for the reasons I've said, but also if anything isn't dry completely, you're going to get things sticking in this bin and making it harder to empty. And this WD-40 kind of leaves a nice finish on it on the inside, which is quite sort of slippery, and it helps the actual bin empty when you go to unclick it. So once you've done all this, just put this part to one side. It's nice and tidy for when we put this back together. Really simple thing just to start with. So the next tip is to take out this filter. The filter on this is actually on the top. But what I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes is how to eliminate 90% of problems with these Dyson V6, V7, Animal, whatever you want to call them, this style of Dyson vacuum cleaner. So what you're supposed to do with this filter is you're supposed to take it out and you're supposed to just run it under the tap, and it's supposed to be clean. But if you've got problems with your vacuum cleaner and it's not running on full power and it's cutting out, this filter is 90% of the problem. So in the video description for this, I'm going to actually put a link to a new filter where you can purchase these at a really good price. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I clean them out. You can wash these off and you can blow them out with a compressor. If you don't have a compressor, you can always use a can of air duster. But what I want to show you is something inside this filter which is really important. So the actual manual just says if you rinse this under the tap and wait for it to dry, you can pop this back in and everything will be clean and tidy. One thing I would recommend is having a look down here and making sure that this isn't actually full of dirt as well. And I'm actually going to strip this whole thing down in a minute and even remove this actual cyclone as well. But what I want to show you, even if you've washed your filters out, is you can actually unclip these. If you just put some pressure pulling down on the actual filter, you can actually get inside this filter. And I'm just going to quickly do that now. I'm going to just show you exactly what I mean about cleaning these out. It's always best to replace these, but just washing them under the tap, I don't see how we can get rid of all the rubbish that we find in here. You see all that dropping out of there? And that's without me actually hooking anything in there and taking that out. So you can see why, without even hooking it out, I can tap on this. You can see all the dirt that's coming out this filter here. So just by tapping, you can see how much dirt we're getting out of here. So I always recommend replacing this filter. As I've said, there's a link in the description of the video for a new one. But at the very least, I would be taking this off here and giving it a good tap out, and I would be rinsing this out now and try to get as much out as you can. As I said, if you don't have an air compressor, you can get a small can, like a can of air duster. It's basically compressed air in a can, and you can blow it out. But for the price of that, you could buy a new filter. Now, it's just coming out galore, isn't it? I've seen loads and loads and loads of these where people have cleaned the filter. Look at that dropping out of there. And they think they've cleaned the filter, put it back in, and this Dyson, this type of Dyson, just cuts out, it stalls, it doesn't go on full power. And 90% of the time, it's because these filters are full to the top. And not only that, the actual cyclone in here gets full up as well. So I'm going to show you how to strip all this down. You can take this little filter off here in a second. This isn't something you might need to do, but in this video I'm going to show you how to do absolutely everything you may need to do to get this running again. These are expensive pieces of kit, up to around £700 for the new V11. So I think it's worth, if you just invest a few more minutes of your time just to see how to strip this down, clean all these filters out properly, and I'll show you how to disconnect this as well. So I'm going to wash this out in the sink now, and I am going to blow this out with a compressor, make sure it's as clean as I can get it, and the next time I want to do this I will replace the filter. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove this filter here. Now this part is clipped around the edge, but this plastic is actually really flexible, and I've taken around 30-40 of these apart and never broken it. It's up to you whether you want to do this. You could just clean this filter off with a brush and make it as tidy as you can. I like to take the whole thing off, and I'm actually going to take this whole cyclone off as well and show you what's inside there and show you exactly why cleaning it out makes such a difference. So you do need to be a little bit careful doing this. You just take a flat-headed screwdriver and you can just prise this off from the top here. Just really carefully undo these clips. You can see here it's quite flexible, and I usually just go around it with something plastic. A guitar plectrum or something like that would be ideal. And just basically go around a little bit at a time, taking care. Just undo these clips as you go around. Just takes a little bit of fiddling. As I said, it comes off fairly easily. You just got to be a little bit careful, but the plastic is very flexible. You're not going to cause too much damage as long as you take your time going around and just methodically undoing all these clips. You can see the dirt that's dropping out from the inside of here as well. Try not to use anything metal against this rubber seal. You don't want to be breaking anything off. You can see there, eventually that's just dropped down. And you can see all the dirt on that filter, and especially in here as well. You can see just how much dirt's in there. I'm going to clean all that off. I'm actually going to strip this whole part down here so you can see what's inside, and we'll clean all that out as well. So to make cleaning this a lot easier, I'm going to separate these two parts. I'm actually going to separate this cyclone here. If you look just inside here, you can see where I'm pointing to, there's like a little white clip. There's one at both sides. If you actually take a flat-headed screwdriver on each side and just push them to the side, this whole thing unclips. So I'm going to attempt to do that now. See what tools I've got. I'm just going to poke them in there. It just makes it a little bit easier to actually get in and work. So if you pull those towards the centre, this whole thing actually pops up. It's as simple as that. It's just a case of getting these two white clips here, and with a flat-headed screwdriver you just push them into the middle and the whole thing separates. So inside here you'll find there are actually 5 Torx screws which are size 8. There's just 5 on the outside. If you look in here, they may actually be covered in dust on yours, so take a look. And there's only 5 of them to take out, so if you've got a tool you can take these out. You don't need to do this, you could just clean it off, you could put it back together, but there's some other parts in here that I like to just take apart and just blow out with a compressor as well. And I generally do this sort of once every 3 months just to keep this actual vacuum running perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to undo 5 of these Torx C8 screws and take these out. Okay, so with those 5 removed there, I can actually separate this. You can actually see inside here just how much dirt there is even inside this cyclone, and you want all this to be immaculately clean. So I'm just going to tip that over and move that out of the way a second. And this part is really simple to take off. All you've got to do with this, I like to put this actual widest part at the top, and this actual top part just pulls off like that. And you can get right inside here. Once again, you can see just how much dirt's coming off this, and actually you can clean all this out just with, as I've said, an old paintbrush, a stiff brush, and it makes such a difference to the running of these machines. So just take the time to clean all this off and clean everything out Of course, this is where the filter sits inside. So I'm going to clean all these parts off now. Don't use water on any of these, just use a brush, use a can of air duster, a can of compressed air if you like, or an air compressor ideally. So you can see we've got 4 parts to clean now. I'm going to clean all these off, including this filter. So you won't be able to get to the inside of that if you didn't take it off. As I said, it's all, if you look at the plastic, it's really flexible. Nothing's going to break or snap when you take it off, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'm going to clean this part off and clean all this off inside and out, just blow it all out. And you can see with the amount of dirt that builds up on the inside of everything why your machine might not be running as efficiently as it should be. So just take a good few minutes to give these a good clean, and I'll show you how to put everything back together. After I've done all that, I'm actually going to show you how to remove this head, how to dismantle the whole thing and clean it off the easy way as well, so stick around for that. And no monkeying around either. So I've just spent 5 or 10 minutes just cleaning all these parts up. You can see how clean and see-through all these filters are. One thing I will say is you must make sure that this is completely dry if you're going to reuse the same filter. I've actually washed that out. It's the only thing I've got wet, and I've actually dried it off with an air compressor as well. So with everything clean and tidy, what we need to do is just put this back together. You can see the actual shape in here where there's a little notch at the top. We'll just line that up with this part again. Just really carefully, just put that in, push it over. This whole thing just pushes into place. This actual filter just sits around here. It's really simple to do once you've done it a few times. At the end of the day, it's only 5 Torx screws to undo, and you can get in and clean this whole thing out. So what we need to do next, we'll just pop this back on, line up the screw holes, and I'm just going to reseat all these 5 Torx screws that go back in here. One little tip, if you're going to do this, when you're taking these actual Torx screws out of here, just give them a clean off at the end, so next time that they're covered in all sorts of dirt as well, you can just get the actual Torx driver in and undo these a little bit easier. So I'm going to replace all these now. Okay, so I've just replaced all those Torx screws. I just worked across each side diagonally, got them all in position nice and tight, and I went round at the end and just tightened them all off. That's all you need to do. Really simple, only takes a couple of minutes to do. So the next job we need to do is just refit this filter. There's actually a little notch here on the front, if you can see there, just at the front, that lines up with the actual little cutout on this filter. So we'll just push that in there, push the first one in, and if you just work your way around, you can see where it all just clips back together. No damage on there, all this cyclone's nice and clean, all the parts are clean inside, and of course we've got this filter that's nice and clean as well. If you've cleaned this filter out and you are reusing this, one tip to get it really dry before you put this back in is just get a hairdryer, just put a load of hot air down the end, but really do make sure that this is completely dry before you put it back in, or it will clog up and you will have running problems. So once your filter's completely dry, or you've bought a new one using the link in the description below this video, you just poke this back up here. You can see how they go. Here, there's a little notch on here, you just have to push it up past there so they all click into place. You can see everything, just give it a nice pull down, make sure everything's nice and secure, and we can just slide a nice clean filter, or our new filter, into this cyclone. That's the whole part of this finished off. All we're going to do now is reconnect it. I'm going to show you a really killer tip as well, a really easy way to clean off this actual head. So I'll show you how to put this back together. This actually kind of hinges from the top. If you just hold the top in there, you can see, just put the top on first, and if you just push it together, a little bit fiddly to do, you'll see the whole thing goes back together, and you can probably hear, obviously we haven't got the bin on there, you can probably hear the power that this is getting now, and that's not on maximum. So headphone users, turn down now. I'll put this on max power. And you can hear that sounds nice and clean. I'm having no problems with this unit so far. So the next thing we'll do is just refit this bin. We'll just push this back on here. I like to just put the angle like that so it actually looks like it's hinging at the front. If you push that up there, just give it a little bit of a twist, you'll see that's all connected. And everything sounds and works exactly as it should. It did on this model anyway, but I've had loads and loads of these where I've done exactly what I've just shown you, and I've just remedied 90% of the problems by cleaning the filter, taking the 5 size 8 Torx screws out and cleaning around. So this unit's working exactly as it should. One final thing I'm just going to quickly show you is how to clean this actual head on here. If I just disconnect this head on here and show it like most people, you can't help it, this is what it's designed to do. You can see just how many hairs we've got on stuff that are just collected. Now a lot of people kind of spend ages trying to undo these and try and pick the hairs out. I'm going to show you a quick way to do that right now. There are actually two parts to this head that you can remove. I've got a little an old washer here, or you could just get like something plastic, like a plastic coin. I prefer to use the plastic ones really, as it saves damaging the actual little plastic parts on here. So I'm going to take that off and I'm going to remove that. You can see in here, if you get all this clogged up, look at the difficulties you're going to have actually getting 100% power out of one of these cordless vacuum cleaners. But there's a real easy way to get this out as well. There's actually another little notch on the side of here, you can see just in there. If I just take another coin like that and take that out there, this whole thing actually just slides out of here. You can see how it gets out, and you can pull everything out. You can just run a knife along this and you can actually get in a lot easier just to take all this off here. And you can see just how much of this dust and dirt has been trapped in here, and why this actual vacuum cleaner really wants a good service. So just take the time to make sure absolutely everything's clean in here. Have a look down the actual hose here and make sure there's no blockages. Just take the time with something just to clean it out as well. A lot of the time it does get blocked up on these, especially if you're using it, if you've got pets, because there's obviously a lot of hair. So just take the time to clean all this out, and you'll find the efficiency of the vacuum cleaner when you've done all these things is massive. It's honestly, I've done it the first time I ever did it, was like having a brand new vacuum cleaner. I saved myself around £600 and £700. So I'm going to clean this off. Before I do that and put it back together for the last part of the video, please do me a massive favour, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, and most of all, leave me a comment on this video if I've helped you out. So I'm going to clean this off now. I'm going to put all this back. As you can see, I've just given these parts a real good clean. You can see the difference there. I mean, imagine how much difference that's going to make when it's trying to spin in this machine. I've also turned this over and there's a lot of build up on the back of this part as well, so give that a clean off as well. We'll just push this back in here like this. That just slides back in there. We'll pop this back in as well. Just turn that in, give that a turn as well. That locks in. Everything looks nice and clean. And all these little things that you do are the reason that these actual vacuums seem to lose power over the time that you've got them. It's not really anything to do with the cyclone, a lot of it's to do with the filters and just general maintenance of keeping these vacuum cleaners clean. It's really worth it because some of these are, you know, going on for nearly £1,000 now. We'll put this final part back in here, we'll give this a test. You just slide it in at this end first and pop it over. Once again, just simply turn this and it locks everything back into position. One final killer tip that nobody thinks to do, take a look down the actual wand. Can you see there? Just how much build up there is in there. If you can get a really long brush or blow this out with something, this makes a massive difference. I'm just going to take the time to blow this out with the compressor. If you've got an old sort of brush that you've used for cleaning dishes and you can get it at least halfway down there and start to dislodge some of this, it really makes a terrific difference to the actual running and the actual suction that you're getting on these Dysons. So I've just given that a quick clean out. One thing I want to show you why you don't want to be using water on any part of this apart from the filter. I showed these little connectors at the beginning. These actually have a motorised head. You can see when you connect it to the wand, those connectors hit these connectors and in turn connects up here. If you get any dirt or water in there, anything starts to rust or go off over time, you're going to find the motorised head doesn't work. Don't use any water on any part of any of these Dysons at all apart from the filter, and even then personally I would, for the sake of a couple of pounds, I would definitely replace the filter. That way you're completely eliminated those problems. So just finally I want to show you that this actual Dyson is working correctly. If you look at this actual bottom of here, look at the speed of this. You've got the normal mode and you've got the super power mode, max mode. So as you can see in here, this Dyson V6 is working perfectly. It only takes around 25-30 minutes every sort of 3 or 4 months, and you can save yourself the expense of buying a brand new vacuum cleaner. I mean, the price of these, £600-700 for a new one, you really are Dyson with death. So as I've said previously, I have put a link in the description down below this video for new filters for this Dyson V6. I'm also going to include in this description just a real small set of torque screwdrivers so you can do this job yourself. And do me a massive favour, if you haven't already, click subscribe, click like, leave me a comment, and if you're really struggling and you're looking for a new Dyson vacuum cleaner, I research these all the time. If you look in the description, I always find the best deals. There'll be a link to a brand new Dyson, which is the equivalent new one of this as well, and it will be at the best price I can find. Thanks for watching. I can't thank you enough. I hope this has helped you out. Please leave me a comment if it has, and I'll see you again next time on Stampy's Random Reviews and Tutorials.